How did the plebeians influence Roman law and governance over time? If you're curious about how the common people, or plebeians, shaped the laws and governance of ancient Rome, you're about to uncover a fascinating story of struggle and transformation. To start, the plebeians had very little say in the Roman government initially. However, through a series of significant events and reforms, they managed to gain substantial influence. One of the key milestones was the creation of the Plebeian Council, also known as the Plebeian Assembly or Council of the Plebs. This council was the main assembly of the plebeians, where they could pass their own laws, known as plebiscites, elect their own officials like tribunes and aediles, and handle judicial cases. The Plebeian Council originally organized based on the curia system, but in 4471 BC it shifted to a tribal system, which gave plebeians more independence from their patrician patrons. The plebeians used their council to push for greater political equality. For example, during the 5th century BC, they demanded the right to elect their own officials and to have their laws recognized as binding for all Romans. This led to several key laws, such as the Lex Publia in 339 BC, which made plebiscites applicable to both plebeians and patricians. Another crucial law was the Lex Hortensia in 287 BC, which definitively gave plebiscites the full force of law, making them binding on the entire Roman population. This was a major victory for the plebeians, as it meant their laws were no longer just advisory, but had the same weight as those passed by other assemblies. The plebeians also gained the right to hold higher offices through various reforms. For instance, the Lex Genusia in 342 BC required that one of the annual consulships be given to a plebeian. Additionally, the Lex Ogulnia in 300 BC allowed plebeians to hold half of the positions in the priestly colleges of pontifices and augurs. The office of the Tribune of the Plebs was particularly important. These tribunes were elected by the Plebeian Council and served as spokespeople for the plebeians, protecting their interests against patrician dominance. They could call meetings, organize support for legislation, and even prosecute criminals before the council. The conflict of the orders, a long-standing struggle between plebeians and patricians, saw several secessions where plebeians withdrew from the city to demand better rights. These actions led to significant concessions, such as the right for plebeians to marry patricians and to hold more political offices. Over time, the plebeians' influence extended to the Roman Senate. Initially, the Senate was composed only of patricians, but as plebeians gained more rights, they also began to be included in the Senate. This transformation helped to create a more balanced government, though the patricians still held considerable power. By the late Roman Republic, the plebeians had achieved a level of political equality, though it was not uniform across all plebeian families. Only a small minority of plebeians actually reached the top positions, but the overall impact was a more inclusive and representative government. In summary, the plebeians influenced Roman law and governance through the creation of the Plebeian Council, the passage of key laws like the Lex Publia and Lex Hortensia, the establishment of the Tribune of the Plebs, and their gradual inclusion in higher offices and the Senate. These changes marked a significant shift towards greater political equality and representation in ancient Rome.